The wedding dress cost more than Grace's sister's funeral. She stood in the bridal suite of the Shilla Hotel, Seoul's most exclusive venue, watching her reflection in the floor-length mirror. White silk, hand-embroidered lace, a veil that cost $30,000. The woman staring back at her was beautiful, elegant makeup, perfect hair, diamonds at her throat. She was also a liar. Grace said, "You look stunning," the wedding coordinator gushed in accented English, adjusting her train. "Jihoon is so lucky." Lucky, Grace smiled. Park Ji-hoon had no idea what kind of luck he'd married into. In 6 hours, she would stand at the altar and promise to love, honor, and cherish the son of the man who killed her sister. In 6 months, she would destroy everything his family had built. And in 6 years, when his father rotted in prison and their empire was ash, maybe then Amara could rest. 2 years, 3 months and 17 days. That's how long she'd been planning this wedding. How long she'd been becoming someone else. How long she'd carried her sister's blood on her hands, even though she'd washed them 1,000 times. The coordinator left. Grace was alone with her reflection and her rage. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. "Having second thoughts, Grace?" A woman's voice. Older. Cold. "Who is this?" "Someone who knows what you're planning. Someone who knows you're not who you claim to be." Was. Amara's sister wore her hair in braids. "You straightened yours." She had a scar on her left shoulder from a childhood burn. "You had it removed. But you have the same eyes. Did you really think no one would notice?" Grace's blood turned to ice. "Walk away now," the woman continued. "Leave Seoul. Or I'll tell the Park family exactly who you are before you walk down that aisle." She hung up. Grace stared at the phone, hands shaking. Someone knew. After 2 years of perfect planning, someone knew. What are the consequences when revenge stops being a plan and becomes your entire identity? And what happens when the person you're destroying might be the only one who truly understands your pain? New to this channel? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We drop jaw-dropping stories like this every week that'll keep you up past 2 a.m. Drop a comment in the comments if you're ready for this wild ride. 3 years earlier, the call came at 3 a.m. Grace was in Dar es Salaam, in her childhood bedroom at her aunt's house, when her phone lit up with a Seoul number. Amara's number. "Mars," she answered, using her sister's nickname. "It's the middle of the night there, what? Is this Grace Massaw?" A man's voice. Korean accent. Official. Everything inside her went cold. "Yes. Where's my sister?" "I'm Detective Kim with Seoul Metropolitan Police. I'm sorry to inform you that your sister, Amara Massaw, was killed tonight in an incident in Gangnam. We need you to come identify the body." The room tilted. "What? Well, she's fine. I just talked to her yesterday. She's teaching English, she's." "Ma'am, I'm very sorry. The details are still being investigated, but she was caught in crossfire between 2 groups. Wrong place, wrong time. We need next of kin to." "Crossfire." Grace's voice cracked. "What crossfire? Seoul is supposed to be safe. You're supposed to be safe. Ma'am, if you can arrange travel to Seoul, we'll need you to." Grace hung up. Called Amara. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Again. 23 times before she accepted her sister would never answer. The morgue in Seoul was sterile and cold. Detective Kim was young, maybe 30, with tired eyes that had seen too much. "Before we go in," he said carefully, "you should know the injuries are significant. If you need a moment, show me my sister." He led her to a window. Behind it, a body on a table covered with a sheet. He nodded to the attendant. They pulled back the sheet from the face. Amara. Grace's beautiful, brilliant, annoying little sister who'd moved to Seoul 3 years ago to teach English and explore the world. Who video called every Sunday to show off street food and palaces and her tiny apartment. Who was supposed to come home next month for their father's birthday. Her face was peaceful. Almost sleeping. If you ignored the bullet hole in her temple. Grace didn't remember screaming. But she remembered Detective Kim catching her before she hit the floor. Who did this? She heard herself asking. Who shot her? We're investigating. Who did this? He hesitated. The incident occurred outside a nightclub in Gangnam. Two rival organizations had a disagreement. Your sister was walking past. She wasn't the target. Then who was? I can't discuss ongoing investigations. Detective Kim. Grace looked at him, tears streaming. My sister is dead because she walked past the wrong building. Someone shot her. I need to know who. His expression shifted. Pity mixed with something else. Frustration. Even if I told you these organizations are untouchable. Connected. The kind of people who make problems disappear. What organizations? Ma'am. What organizations? He sighed. Glanced around. Lowered his voice. The Park family. They control most of Gangnam. And their rivals, the Choi family, who've been trying to take territory. The shooting was, he stopped. It was a power play that went wrong. Your sister was collateral damage. The Park family, Grace repeated. And nothing will happen to them. I didn't say that. But it's true. He looked away. That was answer enough. Grace flew home the next day with Amara's body. They buried her in Dar es Salaam, in the cemetery where their mother rested. Their father stood at the grave and didn't cry, just stared at the coffin like he couldn't comprehend losing both his wife and youngest daughter to the world's cruelty. Grace cried enough for both of them. At the funeral, she made a promise over her sister's grave. Quiet. Private. Just her and Amara's bones and God, if he was listening. I will make them pay. All of them. I don't care how long it takes. 3 weeks later, Grace sold everything she owned. Quit her job at the Dar es Salaam accounting firm. Took every shilling she'd saved. And she bought a one-way ticket to Seoul. 18 months later. Your pronunciation is improving, Grace sighed. Professor Kong smiled at her across the desk in his Yonsei University office. You've gone from beginner to near fluent in 18 months. That's extraordinary. I'm motivated, Grace said in perfect Korean. So I see. He leaned back. The fashion merchandising degree is just a cover, isn't it? Grace's blood froze. I don't. Relax. He held up a hand. I'm not accusing you of anything illegal. But I've been teaching for 20 years. I know when a student is truly passionate about fashion, and when they're using it as an excuse to be in Seoul. You're the latter. Grace stayed silent. Whatever your real reason for being here, he continued, I hope you find what you're looking for. But be careful. Seoul can be dangerous for young women alone. You have no idea, Grace thought. But she smiled politely. Thank you for your concern, Professor. That night, she went to the nightclub where Amara died. It was called Versailles. All gold and marble and velvet ropes. The kind of place where Korea's elite played. Grace had spent months getting ready for this. The right clothes, the right hair, the right accent. Learning to move through this world like she belonged. The bouncer barely glanced at her ID. American passport under the name Grace Massaw, student visa, everything legitimate, before letting her in. Inside was noise and heat and bodies. Grace ordered an overpriced cocktail. Found a spot near the VIP section. And she watched the men in expensive suits buying bottles that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Watched the women in designer dresses laughing too loud at jokes that weren't funny. Watched the subtle exchanges. Cash for pills, pills for influence, influence for power. And she watched him. Park Ji-hoon. 29 years old. Heir to the Park family empire. MBA from Wharton. Tall, handsome in the way Korean drama stars were handsome. Sharp jaw, calculating eyes, perfectly styled black hair. He sat in the VIP booth surrounded by friends and sycophants, looking bored with his own privilege. This was the man whose father had ordered the hit that killed her sister. This was the man Grace was going to marry. She'd spent 6 months researching him. Knew his schedule, his habits, his favorite restaurants. Knew he came to Versailles every Friday with the same group. Knew he was single, Had been for 8 months since his last girlfriend, a model, had broken up with him for never being emotionally available. Perfect. Grace waited. 30 minutes. An hour. Until he got up to go to the bar. She moved. Positioned herself next to him. Close enough to be noticed. Far enough to seem accidental. He ordered whiskey. She ordered wine. They stood in comfortable proximity while the bartender worked. "You're new here," he said in Korean. Grace glanced over. Smiled slightly. "How can you tell?" "Because I've never seen you before. And I'd remember." In English she said, "Sorry, my Korean is still not great." His eyebrows rose. "American. Tanzanian. But I studied in the US." She held out her hand. "Grace." "Ji-hun." His handshake was firm. Confident. The grip of someone who'd never had to fight for anything. "What brings you to Seoul?" "Fashion merchandising degree." "Yonsei." "Good school." He studied her. "And you come to Versailles alone on Friday nights." "I like watching people. Understanding cultures through how they play." Grace sipped her wine. "What about you? You look like someone who's bored of playing." Something flickered in his expression. Interest. Perceptive. Observant. She smiled. "There's a difference." They talked for 20 minutes. Surface-level things. Seoul versus Dar es Salaam, Korean fashion versus American, the pressure of elite universities. He was charming when he wanted to be. Smart. Funny even. Grace hated how easy it was to laugh at his jokes. When his friends called him back, he hesitated. "Can I see you again?" "Maybe." She pulled out her phone. "If you can find me." "That sounds like a challenge." "It is." He grinned. They exchanged numbers. He returned to VIP. Grace left the club. Outside, she walked 3 blocks before she stopped in an alley and threw up. She just flirted with the son of her sister's murderer. Smiled at him. Touched his hand. Laughed. Amara's face flashed in her mind. Bullet hole, blood, death. Grace wiped her mouth. Straightened. Texted him Friday was fun. "Let's do it again. But somewhere quieter." His response came immediately. "Name the place." They went on their first official date a week later. Dinner at a quiet restaurant in Bukshan. Traditional Korean food, intimate lighting, the kind of place that felt like a secret. Ji-hun was a gentleman. Pulled out Grace's chair. Ordered for both of them after asking her preferences. Made conversation that felt genuine. "Why Seoul?" he asked. "You could have studied fashion anywhere." "My sister lived here," Grace said carefully. Truth wrapped in misdirection. "She loved it. Told me I should visit someday." "Is she still here?" "No." Her voice caught, not faked. "She passed away 2 years ago." His expression softened. "I'm sorry." "Thank you." Grace looked down. "She died in an accident. Wrong place, wrong time. I came here partly to, I don't know, understand what she loved about this city. Feel close to her again." "That's beautiful." He reached across the table, touched her hand. "I lost someone too. Someone I cared about. So I understand that need to keep them alive somehow." Grace looked up. His eyes were sincere. Said even. "Who did you lose?" She wanted to ask. But she just squeezed his hand. "Thank you for understanding." They dated for 3 months before he kissed her. 6 months before he said, "I love you." 9 months before he proposed. The whole time Grace gathered information. Learned that his father, Park Dae-young, ran a real estate empire that was really a front for gambling, protection rackets, and worse. That the family had politicians and police in their pockets. That Ji-hun was being groomed to take over but seemed reluctant. Showed up to family meetings but never contributed. Signed papers but never asked questions. Learned that he had nightmares. Woke up gasping, covered in sweat, reaching for something that wasn't there. Learned that he was kind to waiters and harsh to sycophants. That he donated anonymously to orphanages. That he visited his mother's grave every Sunday. She died when he was 12, cancer. Learned that he was complicated. Not the monster she needed him to be. But Grace didn't care. The proposal happened on Namsan Tower at sunset. He got down on one knee with a ring that cost more than her entire year at Yonsei. "Grace Massaw," he said, voice shaking. "You walked into my life when I'd given up on anything real. You see me, not my name, not my family, just me. Love you. Marry me. Build a life with me. Be my family." Grace looked at him. This man who had no idea he was holding the hand of his family's destruction. This man who thought he'd found love when he'd really found vengeance with a pulse. "Yes," she said. He slipped the ring on her finger. They kissed as Seoul glittered below them. And Grace thought, "I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you, but not sorry enough to stop." Present day, wedding day. The phone call from the unknown woman echoed in Grace's head as she walked toward the ceremony. Someone who knows what you're planning. She should have been panicking. Should have been running. But she'd come too far. Sacrificed too much. Become too many lies stacked on top of each other to stop now. The ceremony was a blur. 200 guests. Traditional Korean wedding followed by Western. Grace wore the hanbok first, red and gold, heavy with symbolism she didn't believe in. Then the white dress. Ji-hoon waited at the altar in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. When Grace reached him, he looked at her like she was salvation. "You're shaking," he whispered. "Happy tears," she lied. They said their vows. His voice was steady. Hers wavered only once, when she promised to honor and cherish him until death. Or until I destroy you, she thought. Whichever comes first. They kissed. Everyone applauded. Grace smiled until her face hurt. At the reception, she scanned the crowd for the woman who'd called. Who knew? Who could end everything with a single conversation with Ji-hoon's father? But she saw no one suspicious. Just the usual. Park family members dripping in wealth and corruption. Politicians. Business magnates. People who smiled while plotting. Ji-hoon's father approached them during dinner. Park Dae-young was 63, silver-haired, with eyes like frozen stone. He'd been polite during their engagement, welcoming even, called her daughter, welcomed her to the family. Now he looked at Grace with something else. Assessment. Gracia, he said. The informal suffix, supposedly affectionate. Welcome to the Park family officially. I hope you understand what that means. I'm honored, a Byoji. Father. The word tasted like poison. Family is everything to us. Loyalty. Trust. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I'm sure Ji-hoon has explained. He has. Good. He patted Ji-hoon's shoulder. Your mother would have loved her. She has strength. I can see it. Ji-hoon beamed. She does. Ding looked at Grace one more time. Nodded. Walked away. Grace exhaled. He likes you, Ji-hoon said, relieved. I was worried. He can be intense with people joining the family. But you handled it perfectly. I'm just being myself, Grace lied. That night, in the honeymoon suite, Ji-hoon undressed her slowly, kissed her like she was precious, made love to her like it mattered. And Grace let him. Responded. Even enjoyed it. Her body betraying her mission, reminding her she was still human under all the calculation. After, as he slept, she stared at the ceiling. I'm sorry, Amara, she thought. But I'm in too deep now to fail you. 6 months into marriage. The Parks owned a compound in Gangnam. Massive estate, multiple buildings, security everywhere. Ji-hoon and Grace had their own wing. 4 bedrooms, rooftop terrace, private everything. It should have felt like luxury. It felt like a gilded cage. Grace spent the first month playing the perfect daughter-in-law. Attended family dinners. Smiled at Dae-young's business associates. Learned the hierarchy, the relationships, the pressure points. Month 2 she started asking questions. Curious. What exactly does the family business do? She asked Ji-hoon over breakfast. Real estate development. Urban renewal projects. Standard answer. And the men in suits who meet your father at midnight. He looked up. You notice everything. I'm your wife. I pay attention. Grace. He set down his coffee. My family's business is complicated. There are aspects I'm not proud of. But I'm trying to change it from within. Make it more legitimate. What aspects? Things I can't talk about. Not because I don't trust you. Because knowing makes you complicit. I'm already complicit. I married you. He flinched. That's different. Is it? They stared at each other. The first real tension in their marriage. Just trust me, he finally said. I'm trying to fix it. But it takes time. Time you don't have, Grace thought. She'd already made copies of his father's financial files, the ones Ji-hoon kept in his home office, thinking they were secure. Already photographed meeting notes. Already recorded conversations using the device she'd hidden in Dae-young's study during a family dinner. The Parks thought she was harmless. A foreign wife. Decorative. Eve. They had no idea she was building their execution. Month 4. Dae-young invited Grace to lunch. Just the two of them. They met at a traditional restaurant. Private room, no recording devices allowed, they checked. He ordered for both of them. You're settling in well, he said. Thank you, Abioji. Ji-hoon is happier. I haven't seen him this light in years. He sipped his soup. You're good for him. He's good for me. Is he? Dae-young's eyes sharpened. Or is there another reason you pursued my son? Grace's heart stopped. I don't understand. You appeared in his life very conveniently. Right when I was pressuring him to marry. Right when he was vulnerable. He leaned forward. I had you investigated, Grace. Very thoroughly. And your story is perfect. Almost too perfect. I'm not sure what you're implying. I'm implying nothing. I'm stating facts. Your sister died in Seoul 2 years before you arrived. You sold everything to come here. Studied Korean with unusual intensity. And somehow you happened to meet my son at the exact club where he stopped. Where he spends his Friday nights. Ice flooded Grace's veins. But, he continued, I found nothing suspicious. You are who you claim to be. Your sister's death was tragic but unrelated to our business. Your attraction to Ji-hoon seems genuine. So either you're the perfect actress, he raised his glass, or you're simply a grieving woman who found love in the city where she lost family. I choose to believe the latter. That's what it is, Grace said carefully. Good. He drank. Because if I found out you were lying, if you were here with ulterior motives, I would be very disappointed. And in my family, disappointment has consequences. I understand. Do you? I don't think you do. He set down his glass. But you will. Welcome to the family, daughter. The lunch ended. Grace went home. Threw up in the toilet. He suspected. Didn't know. But suspected. She had to move faster. 8 months into marriage. Grace found her opening at a family meeting. Dae-young's brother, Ji-hoon's uncle Park Myung-ho, was arguing about a shipment. Grace was serving tea, invisible as furniture, listening. The accounts are confirmed. 40 million transferred through the Macau shell companies this quarter alone. The politicians have their payments. 3 judges have been arranged. By the time anyone traces the money, it leads nowhere. And the real estate deals. Signed and sealed. We've displaced 3 more neighborhoods. Residents had nowhere to go, but city planning has been paid off. Clean on paper. And the prosecutor who was asking questions. Handled. He's been reassigned to a regional post. His replacement is ours. Myung-ho laughed. We own this city. Every courtroom. Every council member. Every decision made in Seoul goes through us first. The accounts you mentioned, Grace said sweetly. The shell companies in Macau. Ji-hoon mentioned wanting to expand internationally. I thought maybe my accounting background could help. I studied finance before fashion. Myung-ho studied her with bleary eyes. Smart girl. But stay out of it. This isn't the kind of accounting they teach at university. We're talking about judges, politicians, entire government departments on our payroll. The kind of money that makes people disappear if they ask too many questions. He laughed. Besides, wives don't do business. They look pretty and stay quiet. He walked away. Grace stood in the hall, shaking. They were bribing the entire government, owning politicians like assets, controlling courts, deciding who got justice and who got nothing, and doing it through financial networks so complex nobody could trace them. Worse than she had imagined, more untouchable than she had feared, and she had it all on the recording device in her bracelet. That night she couldn't look at Ji-hoon. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing. Grace. I know you. What happened?" "Your uncle was talking about Macau shell companies. 40 million transferred this quarter. Judges on the payroll. Politicians. An entire prosecutor reassigned because he asked questions." She met his eyes. "Tell me your family isn't controlling this entire city through corruption." Ji-hoon's face went white. "Grace. Tell me." Silence. "Oh my God," Grace breathed. "You know. You've always known." "It's not." He ran his hands through his hair. "I'm trying to stop it. I've been trying for years. But my father, my uncle, they won't listen. And if I push too hard they'll cut me out completely. I need to be inside to change anything. So you just let them own judges, own politicians, decide who goes to prison and who goes free. Control who gets justice for crimes your family commits. I'm not letting it happen." His voice broke. "I've been leaking documents anonymously, tipping off journalists. But I can't blow the whole thing up without concrete evidence and enough power to protect myself when I do. And I'm working on getting both." Grace stared at him. This man trying to fix his family's sins from within. Just like she was trying to destroy them from within. "Help me," he said quietly. "If you've seen things, if you know things, help me document it. Together we can." "No." She stepped back. "I can't be involved in this." "Grace." "No. I need time." She left the room. And she thought, this changes nothing. He's still complicit. Still guilty. Still allowing his family to own an entire government while claiming to care about justice. Amara's dead because of people like him. But her hands shook as she photographed the financial documents she found in his office that night. Because she was starting to realize, destroying the parks meant destroying Ji-hoon too. And she wasn't sure she could do both anymore. 10 months into their marriage, on a quiet Sunday morning, everything Grace thought she knew was about to shatter. It was one of those Seoul Sundays. Ji-hoon always visited his mother's grave on Sundays, usually alone. This time Grace followed him. Not to the cemetery where his mother was buried. Seoul Memorial Park, where she'd gone with him dozens of times. To a different cemetery. Smaller. Quieter. Grace watched from a distance as he knelt at a grave. Put down flowers, white lilies, fresh. Stayed there for an hour, talking to the headstone like the person could hear. When he left she approached. The name on the headstone stopped her heart. Amara Masa, 1994 to 2021. Gone too soon, never forgotten. Her sister's grave. In Seoul. Grace had buried Amara in Tanzania. In Dar es Salaam, next to their mother. She'd stood at that grave and made her promise. But here was another grave. With fresh flowers. That Ji-hoon visited. She couldn't breathe. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered numbly. "Did you find it?" The woman's voice from the wedding. "Did you find your sister's grave?" "Who are you?" Grace whispered. "Someone who knows the truth. The truth Ji-hoon hasn't told you. The truth that changes everything." She paused. Amara wasn't just collateral damage, Grace. She was the target. And Ji-hoon knows why. What? Ask him about the letters. Ask him why he visits her grave every Sunday. Ask him what he was to her. She hung up. Grace stood at her sister's grave, shaking. That night she confronted him. "Who was Amara to you?" Ji-hoon looked up from his laptop, confused. "What? My sister. Amara Mas. Who was she to you? His face drained of color. How did you? I followed you. I saw the grave. The flowers. The way you talked to her. Grace's voice rose. Who was she, Ji-hoon? He stood slowly. Grace. Tell me the truth. Right now. Or I'm leaving. She was, he stopped. Started again. She was everything. The room tilted. We met 3 years ago, he continued, words tumbling out. She was teaching English at a school near my office. I was getting coffee, she was in line, and she made a joke about the barista's hair. This random, funny observation. And I laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in years. We started talking. She had no idea who I was. Didn't care about my family or money or status. She just saw me. We started dating in secret. I couldn't tell my family. They'd never approve of. He stopped. Of what? Grace's voice was ice. A black woman. A foreigner. Someone beneath you. All of it, he said miserably. My father is, you've seen him. Traditional. Racist. He wants me to marry Korean, wealthy, connected. Amara was none of those things. But I loved her. God, Grace, I loved her so much. We were planning to run away. Both of us. Leave Seoul, start over somewhere new. I was ready to give up everything for her. His eyes filled with tears. And then she was killed. Crossfire, Grace said. The police said crossfire. That's what they told you. He looked away. That's what my father told me to tell anyone who asked. Everything stopped. What? It wasn't crossfire, Grace. It was an execution. His voice broke. My father found out about us. About her. About my plan to leave. And he had her killed. Made it look like gang violence. Wrong place, wrong time. But it was targeted. It was murder. Grace couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The room was spinning. I tried to stop it, Ji-hoon was saying. When I found out what he planned, I tried to warn her. But I was too late. By the time I got there. He stopped. She was already gone. And my father told me if I ever said anything, if I ever tried to expose what really happened, he'd kill her family too. He'd kill you. Me, Grace whispered. Ooh. He knew about you. Had your name, your location, everything. Said if I wanted to keep Amara's sister alive, I'd forget she ever existed. Marry someone appropriate. Take my place in the family. He looked at her, devastated. So I did. I buried the woman I loved. I visit her grave every Sunday. And I tried to forget. And then you walked into Versailles that night and He laughed bitterly. I thought I was going insane. You look so much like her. Moved like her. And your name, Grace. She used to call you Gracie in her stories about home. I thought maybe it was a sign. That I could love Amara's sister and somehow make amends for not saving her. You knew. Grace's voice was shaking. From the beginning. You knew who I was. Not at first. Not that night. But after we exchanged numbers, I looked you up. Saw your photos. Recognized you from pictures Amara showed me. And I should have told you. Should have stayed away. But He stepped toward her. I fell in love with you anyway. Not because you're her sister. 'Cause you're you. And I thought maybe this was fate. Maybe I could protect you the way I couldn't protect her. Grace was going to be sick. Grace, please. Don't touch me. She backed away. Don't you dare touch me. I should have told you. You let me fall in love with you. Tears streamed down her face. You married me. Knowing your father killed my sister. Knowing I was here looking for answers. And you said nothing. I was protecting you. No. You were protecting yourself. She grabbed her bag. From the truth. From the guilt. You used me to feel less broken about losing her. That's not. I can't look at you right now. She headed for the door. Where are you going? Anywhere that's not here. Grace drove to the cemetery. Stood at Amara's grave. The one in Seoul that she didn't know existed. You loved him, she whispered to the headstone. You loved the man whose father killed you. And he loved you. And now She couldn't finish. 'Cause she loved him too. Despite everything. Despite the lies. Despite it all. And her entire plan. 2 years of preparation, months of infiltration, every lie she'd told, was built on destroying the man her sister had loved. The man who loved her back. The man who visited her grave every Sunday for 2 years. Her phone buzzed. The unknown woman. Now you know the truth. What will you do with it? Grace didn't answer. She didn't know. 11 months into marriage. Grace didn't go home that night. Or the next. She stayed in a hotel in Itaewon, ignoring Ji-hoon's calls, trying to process. Amara had loved him. He'd loved her. His father had killed her. And Grace had married him to destroy his family. The symmetry was almost poetic. Except it was her life. Her sister. Her grief weaponized and turned into a marriage she couldn't untangle. On the 3rd day, someone knocked on her hotel door. Grace opened it. An elderly woman stood there. 70s traditional hanbok kind eyes. Grace Masaw, she said. May I come in? Who are you? My name is Park Sun. I'm Ji-hoon's grandmother. And I'm the woman who's been calling you. Grace let her in. They sat. Why? Grace asked. Why call me? Why tell me to leave? Because I knew what you were planning, she said calmly. I've watched you for months. The way you looked at Dae-young like you wanted him dead. The way you gathered information. The way you smiled while hating us. I recognized it. Because I've felt it too. I don't understand. Dae-young killed my daughter, she said quietly. Ji-hoon's mother. Cancer officially. But it was poison. Low. Untraceable. Because she tried to leave him. Take Ji-hoon and run. So he killed her. Made it look natural. Grace's blood ran cold. I've spent 30 years trapped in this family, son, he continued. Watching them destroy everything they touch. I couldn't save my daughter. I couldn't save Amara. But I can save you. I'm not looking to be saved. No. You're looking for revenge. She smiled sadly. So am I. That's why I'm here. To offer you a choice. What choice? Work with me. Together we expose everything. The murders, the corruption. We bring down Dae-young and everyone complicit. Or, she paused. You walk away. Leave Seoul. Life. Because if you keep going alone, Dae-young will figure it out. And he'll kill you like he killed Amara. Why would you help me? Because you're the first person in 30 years brave enough to try. And because, her voice softened. Ji-hoon loves you. Really loves you. And despite everything, I want my grandson to have a chance at happiness. Even if it means destroying his father. Grace stared at her. What would working together look like? You keep gathering evidence. I provide access. Family meetings, financial records, names of victims. And when we have enough, we go to prosecutors I trust. We burn it all down. Publicly. Permanently. And Ji-hoon. He'll have to choose. His father or his future. His family or his conscience. She met Grace's eyes. Just like you'll have to choose. Revenge or love. You can't have both. What if I want both? Then you'll lose everything. Son, he left her number. Told her to call when she decided. Grace sat in that hotel room for hours. Amara, she thought, what do I do? But her sister was dead. And Grace was alive. And she had choices Amara never got. He called Ji-hoon. Grace, he sounded wrecked. Where are you? Please come home. We can. I know your grandmother. Silence. Then. What? Park Sun-hee. She came to see me. Told me about your mother. About Ding. About everything. She. He sounded shocked. She never talks about it. How did she? She wants to help me take him down. All of them. Grace, what are you? I came to Seoul to destroy your family, Ji-hoon. Her voice was steady, clear. I'm Amara's sister. I'm the girl whose sister was murdered by your father. And for 2 years I planned. Transformed myself. Learned your language, infiltrated your world, made you fall in love with me. All to destroy you. He didn't say anything. But now I know, her voice broke. You loved her. And she loved you. And you've been visiting her grave every Sunday for 2 years. And I don't know how to destroy the man my sister loved. Grace. So I'm giving you a choice. Help me. Help your grandmother and me expose your father. Testify. Turn on your family. Or, she swallowed. Stay loyal to them. And I'll do this alone. But if you choose them, we're done. I can't love someone who chooses his father over justice for Amara. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Amara's dead. Your mother's dead. Dozens of women your family trafficked are dead or suffering. Fair doesn't exist. Only choices. Silence stretched. I'll help you, he said quietly. I'll testify against my father. I'll give you everything you need. But Grace, I need you to understand something. What? If we do this, if we expose him, he'll retaliate. He'll try to kill us both. And even if we succeed, even if he goes to prison, the family will disown me. I'll lose everything. My name, my inheritance, my place. I'll be nothing. You'll be free. Will I? His laugh was bitter. Or will I just be broken? I don't know, Grace admitted. But Amara deserves justice. And your mother does. And everyone your family destroyed. So are you in or not? Another long silence. I'm in, he finally said. For Amara. For my mother. And for you. Okay. She exhaled. Then let's burn it all down. A year into the marriage, with the plan nearly complete, Grace felt the first wave of nausea. Planning the exposure had taken 2 months. Ji-hun, his grandmother, and Grace worked in secret. He gathered financial documents, recorded family meetings, compiled lists of victims and accomplices. He provided access to offshore accounts and political connections. Grace organized it all. Built the case like the accountant she'd been before grief turned her into a weapon. They had everything. Trafficking. Murder. Money laundering. Bribery. Decades of crimes. And they had testimonies. Ji-hun willing to testify against his father. He willing to confirm his mother's murder. 3 victims of the trafficking willing to speak if they guaranteed protection. They contacted a prosecutor. Kim Min-young, one of the few who couldn't be bought. She reviewed their evidence. Told them it was enough. We move in 3 days, she said. Arrest warrants for Park Dae-young and 6 others. Simultaneous raids. Press conference to follow. 3 days. That's all they had left. That night Grace felt sick. Threw up. Exhausted. You okay? Ji-hun asked, worried. Fine. Just stress. But the next morning she threw up again. And again. She took a test. Positive. She was pregnant. Grace stood in the bathroom, staring at the 2 lines, and everything collapsed. Pregnant. With Ji-hun's child. With the child of the man whose family she was about to destroy. Well, no. This changed everything. A baby meant what? Co-parenting with a man whose father would be in prison because of her. Raising a child in the shadow of this family's destruction. Explaining someday that mommy married daddy to destroy grandpa? She couldn't breathe. Ji-hun found her on the bathroom floor. Test in hand. Grace. What's? He saw the test. His eyes went wide. Are you? Yes. Oh my God. He knelt beside her. We're having a baby. Ji-hun. This is, he laughed, shocked. This is amazing. Terrifying. But amazing. We're going to be parents. Grace looked at him. This man she'd married to destroy. This complicated, broken man who loved her sister and somehow loved her too. This man whose whole world she was about to burn. The raid is in 3 days, she said. His smile faded. I know. Your father's going to prison. Your family will be destroyed. And we're bringing a baby into that. We'll protect them. Figure it out. How? Ji-hun, your family will hate us. Hate this child. Your father will be in prison. where he can't hurt anyone ever again. He grabbed her hands. Grace, listen to me. I know this is terrifying. I know the timing is impossible. But, his voice shook. Maybe it's also a sign that we can build something new, something clean. Out of all this darkness, a family that's actually good. What if I can't do this? The words tumbled out. What if I can't be a mother while knowing I destroyed their father's family? What if they ask someday why we did it and I have to explain that I married you for revenge and accidentally fell in love and now everything's complicated? Then we tell them the truth. He touched her stomach. That their grandfather was a monster. That their aunt deserved justice. That their parents did a hard, messy thing because it was right. And that they're loved. No matter what. Grace started crying. I don't know if I can do this. Yes, you can. He pulled her close. We both can. Together. They sat on that bathroom floor for an hour. Processing. Grieving. Hoping. And Grace thought, Amara, I'm so sorry. I'm about to become a mother with the man whose father killed you. I don't know how to make that okay. But maybe okay didn't matter. Maybe justice did. 14 months after Grace became a park, the empire fell. The raids happened at dawn. Simultaneous arrests across Seoul. Park Dae-young at the family compound. His brother at his apartment. 6 others at various locations. Ji-hoon and Grace watched the news coverage from a safe house. Saw his father in handcuffs, face shocked and furious. Saw the family compound swarmed by police. Saw the press conference where Prosecutor Kim laid out the charges. Murder, government corruption at scale, bribery of public officials, racketeering, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and abuse of judicial process. And saw Ji-hoon's name listed as a cooperating witness. His phone exploded with calls. Family members screaming. But, disownments. Grace watched him ignore everyone. It's done, he said quietly. We did it. It's not over, Grace said. The trial will take months, maybe years. But he's arrested. He can't hurt anyone now. Ji-hoon looked at her. Grace, we won. You won. Amara got justice. Grace touched her stomach. 3 months pregnant now, just starting to show. At what cost? Whatever it takes. The trial began 2 months later. Ji-hoon testified first. 3 days on the stand, detailing decades of crimes. His voice steady. His eyes dry. Grace watched from the gallery, holding her growing stomach, and saw him break apart in real time. Saw him bury his father with facts and documents and recorded conversations. Saw Dae-young stare at his son like he'd been stabbed. On day 4, son, he testified. Told the court about her daughter's murder. Produced medical records. Witness statements from nurses who'd seen bruises. And on day 9, Grace testified. State your name for the record. Grace Massaw Park. And your relationship to the defendant. Daughter-in-law by marriage. Sister of Amara Massaw by blood. The courtroom stirred. Can you tell the court how you came to be involved in this case? Grace looked at Dae-young. He stared back, hatred burning. My sister was murdered 3 years ago in Seoul. I was told it was crossfire. Random. Wrong place, wrong time. Her voice was steady. I came to Seoul to find the truth. I met Park Ji-hoon. Fell in love. Married him. And I discovered that nothing about my sister's death was random. It was an execution ordered by Park Dae-young because she loved his son and he couldn't tolerate that. Objection. Dae-young's lawyer stood. Speculation. Hearsay. Overruled. Continue, Mrs. Park. I spent 2 years planning revenge. Learning Korean. Studying this family. Infiltrating their world. I married Park Ji-hoon with the intent to destroy his family from the inside. Grace looked at Ji-hoon in the gallery. He nodded, encouraging. But I fell in love with him anyway. Really loved him. And I learned he'd been trying to stop his family's crimes for years. So my revenge became our justice. And here we are. The prosecutor continued. Can you identify the documents in evidence 47? Financial records showing $40 million moved through Macau shell companies in a single quarter. Used to bribe government officials, sitting judges, city planning departments, and senior prosecutors over 15 years. How did you obtain them? From Park Dae-young's personal safe. I photographed them during a family dinner 6 months ago. And evidence 51. Recordings of family meetings discussing bribery operations and the deliberate displacement of 3 neighborhoods through corrupt real estate deals. Residents were removed from their homes through falsified planning approvals that were purchased. I recorded these meetings using a device concealed in the family study. And evidence 63. Direct payments to 9 sitting judges and 14 politicians. The documents show payment amounts, dates, and the corresponding court decisions or policy changes that followed each payment. Cases dismissed. Investigations closed. Prosecutions that never happened. The paper trail is complete and unbroken. The courtroom stirred. And these recordings and documents, they are genuine. Unaltered. Every single one. Grace looked directly at Dae-young. I spent 2 years making sure they would be. Thank you, Mrs. Park. Dae-young's lawyer cross-examined her. Tried to paint her as a vengeful foreigner. Liar. A woman scorned. But Grace had the documents. The recordings. The truth. After 4 weeks, the jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Park Dae-young was sentenced to life in prison without parole. His brother got 20 years. The others got varying sentences. The Park family empire collapsed overnight. Assets seized. Businesses shuttered. Political allies scattered. And Ji-hoon and Grace stood in the courthouse, watching it burn. In the aftermath, stripped of everything, they rebuilt from nothing. The apartment in Itaewon was small. Nothing like the compound. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a view of the street. Ji-hoon lost everything. His inheritance, his family name, his place in society. The Parks disowned him officially. Relatives sent death threats. He couldn't walk down certain streets without being recognized and harassed. He worked at a cafe now, making coffee, earning minimum wage. Sometimes customers recognized him, the son who betrayed his father, and spat in his drinks. He smiled and made them new ones. Grace was 7 months pregnant. Huge. Exhausted. Teaching online English classes to make ends meet while Ji-hoon worked. They were broke. Struggling. Traumatized. And some days, Grace woke up and didn't recognize her life. Do you regret it? She asked him one night. They were eating ramen, cheap, easy, all they could afford. Testifying. Losing everything. Every day, he said honestly. And never. It's both. That doesn't make sense. Nothing about us makes sense. He touched her stomach. But we're here. And they're coming. And maybe that's enough. Grace didn't know if it was. Amara's grave, the one in Seoul, got fresh flowers every Sunday. Both of them went now. Ji-hoon and Grace stood there together, telling her about the trial, the baby, their strange, broken life. I got justice for you, Grace told the headstone. But it doesn't feel like I thought it would. Doesn't feel clean. Feels like we all lost. Everyone. Ji-hoon squeezed her hand. Maybe that's what justice is. Not winning. Just consequences. Grace gave birth on a Tuesday in April. A girl. Healthy. Beautiful. They named her Amara. Amara Sunhee Park. For Grace's sister. For Ji-hoon's grandmother who'd helped them. She had Grace's skin and Ji-hoon's eyes and a cry that pierced the soul. Ji-hoon held her in the hospital, tears streaming. She's perfect. She's ours, Grace corrected. Perfect's too much pressure. They brought her home to their tiny apartment. Set up the crib they'd bought secondhand. Took turns walking her through the night when she cried. And Grace thought, this is what I chose. This is what revenge became. Not victory. Not satisfaction. Just this, a baby. Broken man. Tiny apartment. And the weight of everything they'd destroyed to get here. Sunhee visited once a week. Brought money. secretly, so the family wouldn't know she was helping them, held baby Amara and cried. She looks like her namesake, she said. I know. Grace touched her daughter's face. I hope that's okay. That we named her after. It's perfect. And he smiled. Your sister would have loved her. Grace didn't know if that was true. She didn't know what Amara would have thought of any of this. Her marrying the man Amara loved, destroying his family, having his baby. But Amara wasn't here to ask. And Grace was here. Living with consequences. 2 years after the trial. They were in the park. Baby Amara. Not so baby anymore, almost 2. Toddling between them. Laughing. Chasing pigeons. Ji-hoon chased her. Scooped her up. Spun her around while she shrieked with joy. Grace watched them and felt it. Love. Real complicated, heavy love. Grace! Amara called. She was trying to say Mama, but couldn't quite manage it yet. Grace! Grace went to them. They sat on the grass. Family. Ji-hoon's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. His face went white. Who is it? Grace asked. He hung up. My father. He's in prison. He's allowed calls. Ji-hoon swallowed. He said to tell you congratulations. On the baby. On destroying him. And to tell you. He stopped. What? That he knows people. Even from prison. And if anything happens to him, if he dies in there, if he gets hurt, his people will come for us. For Amara. Ji-hoon looked at her, terrified. He said we'll never be safe. That our daughter will pay for our sins. Grace held Amara closer. She babbled happily, oblivious. He's bluffing, Grace said. He has no power anymore. You don't know that. Neither do you. They sat in silence. Their daughter between them. The shadow of Dae-young's threat hanging over everything. We could run, Ji-hoon said quietly. Leave Korea. Start over somewhere he can't reach. Where? Tanzania. America. Nowhere's safe if he really wants revenge. So what do we do? Grace looked at him. This man she'd married to destroy. This man she'd accidentally loved. This father of her child who'd lost everything for justice. We live, she said. We keep living. We protect her. We don't let him win by making us afraid. And if he makes good on the threat. Grace didn't answer. Because she didn't know. Baby Amara grabbed her face. Grace. Grace. Grace kissed her forehead. I'm here, baby. I'm always here. That night, Grace stood over her crib. Watched her sleep. This perfect, innocent thing that she and Ji-hoon had made from grief and vengeance and love. My sister wanted justice, Grace thought. I gave her scorched earth. And now we all live in the ashes. Ji-hoon appeared beside her. Put his arm around her waist. I love you, he whispered. Even though we're broken. Even though everything's a mess. I love you. I love you too, Grace said. And meant it. But I don't know if love's enough. It has to be. He touched Amara's sleeping face. Because it's all we have. They stood there in the darkness. 2 people who destroyed a family to build one. 2 people bound by grief and guilt and a baby who deserved better than their history. And Grace thought about Amara, her sister, not her daughter. Wondered if she was watching. If she thought the cost was worth it. If justice meant anything when you traded a monster's freedom for your own peace. She didn't have answers. Just consequences. And a life she'd chosen without knowing what it would cost. But family legacies don't fade easily. And in prison, Park Dae-young was making calls. Building favors. Planning. Because revenge once started doesn't end. Just changes hands. If this story destroyed you emotionally, drop a heart in the comments. Have you ever sought revenge only to find it cost more than you expected? Tell us your story. Like this video if you made it to the end. Respect for surviving 40+ minutes. And subscribe for more stories that'll haunt you. We drop new content every week that'll keep you up thinking about choices, consequences, and whether justice is ever really clean. Your support means everything.